So we're moving along through the alphabet, and today we should be landing on D, but there's not a whole lot of like produce that starts with D. Dragon fruit, daikon radishes, dates, and some of those are pretty expensive. Like dragon fruit's not cheap, dates aren't super cheap either. I was like, maybe we'll skip D, but then I kind of had an idea of something that I'm gonna do. And so we're gonna do an episode on dog food, which I'm sure you gathered because it's in the title. We're gonna be making a wet dog food. And the reason I want to do this is because I found out through my vet, if you feed your dog whole foods, they live a lot longer. A really great place to check out what your dogs can and cannot eat is the website akc.org, American Kennel Club. They have like fruits and vegetables that your dog can and cannot eat. Another thing to kind of jump on that is knowing your dog's preference. Dogs, just like humans, tend to like not like certain foods. For example, my dog does not like bananas. I give him a banana and he's just like, pass. But if I give him blueberries, he's like, oh God, give it to me, give it to me. Like he freaks out. I feel like I should probably also introduce my dog. Colby! So this is Colby, and he does not like being held like this at all. I have had him for 10 years. He belonged to a neighbor initially when he was about 6 months old, and they were incredibly abusive. It was incredibly sad. And I initially tried to steal him, but because like they had papers and stuff, like the cops made me give him back. One day I just like couldn't take it anymore, and I went over and I was like, this is literally all the money in my bank account, just give this dog to me. Finally they were like, fine, we'll give him to you. And we've been together ever since, and he just wants to go back to his pillow because he loves his pillow so much. Okay, go lay down. Anyways, Colby has an Instagram that I have for him. It's called Cocaine Gentleman because he is a gentleman of the cocaine. Not really, I don't actually give my dog cocaine, he gets it himself. Okay, I'm gonna go put Colby away and then we'll get started. Some things we're going to be putting into the dog food today. Our base is going to be chicken livers. The reason I use these is they're incredibly cheap. You can get those for like $2.50. Liver is the option I go with just because it has a really high amount of nutrients in it. You can also do chicken hearts, which are also super cheap. Again, they're a little harder to blend, but they blend easier than gizzards do. Okay. Another thing we're going to be putting in is sweet potato. Sweet potato is also really, really good for dogs. We're going to be putting in carrots. Another thing really good for dogs as well. And then we're also going to be adding in some peas. So we're going to peel our carrots. And another great thing about having a trash bowl on your counter is you can just peel whatever you're peeling right into it. So nice. I've come across people who don't peel carrots. Peel your carrots. Like the outside is like really, really bitter. And so when you peel your carrots, you're going to get a better flavor. This is another vegetable that I try to buy organic just because carrots are a root vegetable. They grow in the ground. And so they are constantly in contact with the soil that has all those pesticides going onto it. So I'm just a bit more cautious with root vegetables. I'm actually not going to peel the potato. Potato skins are high in nutrients, and so that's the thing I want to keep in there, but I am going to wash it really well. Oh my God, look how beautiful that is. I'm just going to keep cutting these until they're about the size that I want. So something like this. Yeah, something that just like when it goes into the pot and it boils, it's going to cook fast and easy. So potatoes and carrots are in here. I'm going to start with just those because potatoes and carrots take a little longer to cook than everything else. So the things that take the longest to cook, the things that are like the hardiest, you start with those. I'm also, anytime we cook chicken and the chicken has bone in it, so I keep the bones and I use them for stock and also for dog food. I'll just take out a couple, put those in, throw the rest back in the freezer, and I have this guy about that full. And I'm just gonna fill it like maybe a ½ inch over. Dogs can have salt. You don't want to do like a whole lot, otherwise they're gonna have problems with sodium just like we would. But I do a tiny pinch. And then we're gonna take this over to the stove. So we have our stuff in the pot, and now we're gonna turn it just above medium. Here's our little dot. Look how bright and beautiful that is. Like, oh, this is gonna be so good for my dog. So now that we have the stove going, I just put a little lid, if you will. We put our lid on. So I set the timer for 7 minutes. I guess I can tell you guys about how my day is going. So our timer has ended, and during that time, this came up to a rolling boil, which is great. We're just gonna poke our fork into a larger carrot piece. Okay, so that is definitely like, there's some resistance when I go to push my fork through, but it's still going through. And that's exactly where we want to add in our chicken livers. Here is the chicken liver. All this like red juice in there. A lot of people say that it's blood. Like you get the same thing from like cows. When like people cook a steak and all that red juice oozes out, everyone's like, oh, I love it bloody. It's actually not blood, it's fat. Blood turns really dark color when you cook it. This stuff will like turn clear. It's the same way like that red juice oozes out when you're cooking steak and it becomes clear when it gets really hot. That's because it's fat. So we're gonna dump all of this, including the juice, because the juice is really good for our little puppies. Okay, so this is still a little bit frozen. So I just gotta break it apart a bit. And we just wanna make sure it's all able to come into contact with the boiling water, which is no longer boiling because we just put something really cold in there. So we're going to cover this back up, and we're going to reset our timer for another 5 minutes. I do have to give you fair warning. Cooking chicken livers does not smell great, but it's really good. You want to do this for your dog. That's our timer. We're going to open this guy, kind of stir everything up, see how it's doing. Everything's doing really good. When I poke into our carrots and potatoes, they're really starting to soften up. But I'm gonna give this just a bit longer because the chicken livers I put in were frozen, and so that really brought the temperature down. We're gonna go for another 5 minutes. So we're on our third check. It is really rolling. This is good. Everything is super soft. Like, look how easily those carrots, like, I can cut right through them with my fork. So we're gonna turn this off. And I wanna get rid of some of this liquid, but I do wanna keep some of it. And we have to remember to also take the bones out. I'm going to first take out the bones and try not to get any of the steam on my face because it smells gross. And then I'm gonna dump about half the liquid out. We're gonna set our pot on here. And I'm gonna get out the emulsifier. If you have a blender at home, you can definitely use that too. You don't have to just use an emulsifier. If you don't have a blender, you can also use a potato masher. It's not gonna be as fine, so don't judge yours to what the end product of mine looks like. But as long as it gets mashed up that it's like easy enough for them to eat, that's also like totally fine, absolutely acceptable. just gonna do it like halfway because we're also gonna add in some sweet peas. Again, when I go to the store, I'll probably grab some apples and boil them down and add them in. Or I usually buy frozen blueberries because they're cheaper. But right now they're in season, so they're actually really cheap fresh. I try to always get blueberries because they're the only berries he likes. But also it's food that's really high in antioxidants. And I try to make sure there's something really high in antioxidants in the dish. So there's still like a little bit of chunk. And that's completely fine. The reason I add the peas in after everything else is cooked and already soft is like these peas are already cooked. They're already soft. I usually buy frozen peas. Every place is out of frozen food right now, so I couldn't get them. But canned is totally fine. I'm gonna use these guys. These are just some old containers that I had. As you can see, some old chicken liver containers. So I'm not gonna fill this all the way up because it will swell when it starts to freeze. Colby can smell the food and he's, oh, there he is. Hold on. I'll let you lick the spatula. I've got my 3 guys right here. They need to cool down before I put them in my freezer because if I put them in now while they're still hot, there's potential for food poisoning, but also it'll like raise the temperature of my freezer up and I don't want to do that. So I'm gonna let them sit for a half an hour and then I'm gonna put them in my freezer. And then I have dog food. But somebody's going to be eating at the end of the show today. Oh, he loves it. Oh, he's so excited. All right. I'm actually going to give this back to my dog. He was looking at me like, hey, bitch. Not cool. Instagram. Go ahead and follow me on there. And I do a thing where at the beginning of the week, so on Monday, I will post a recipe. Very simple one. That on the following Sunday, I'll do an Instagram live and we'll all cook together. I think that's everything. Oh, and subscribe. Duh.